Who I am? I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal. People know me.
Listen, big deal. You got another problem. Women always figure out the truth.
This is not.
Always.
This is so nuts. I mean, listen to what you're saying. It's paranoid delusion. It's really sad. It's pathetic.
Am I? Or am I so sane that you just blew your mind?
That is the weirdest thing you have ever said.
You hear the music, you know what it is. It's the barbecue show. That's right, we've got them. Well, Jake and Stunt Monkey do it. We don't have Jake today. So we just got the big dog, the Stunt Monkeys, talking all things barbecue. You know why they call it the barbecue show? Because it's about barbecue, baby.
That's right.
How you doing? How you doing, Stunt?
Doing really good. Staying dry the best we can today. So,
quick question just on that line. So because of you guys, I did myself my first Boston butt roast. And it started to rain. I mean, when doesn't it start to rain a little bit? It was fine for the first couple of hours. How much does that affect your grilling? If it's raining on the time, obviously it's inside the grill. It didn't get the meat wet, but how does that affect it?
yeah, the moisture in the air and stuff will affect your fire a lot of times. The moisture will affect how the grill heats and cooks, I guess you will. Humidity is maybe more so the better word for it.
Yeah.
Depending on what it's like. The change in the middle of your cook, it could definitely change the way it speeds it up or slows it down, depending on where the wind's blowing as well. So I guess I'm not really giving you a good answer, except for the fact that it depends on where you're using.
It has to change it. It was on the Traeger. Another problem with that was, so took it a little longer. I really was slow cooking it. At some point, it ran out of pellets. Bad host.
Yeah.
So I go out there, and instead of it 275, it's down to 120. I'm like, oh, what's going on? Oh, pellets are out. I load it back up. I'm new Traeger guy. Load it back up and see if it'll catch on. Well, evidently it had stopped. There was no fire left in there, so I had to turn it to smoke, reignite it. Got it. You still got the probe in there. It probably took a little longer than it should have. But man alive, Boston pork roast, baby. Tell me that isn't a fantastic thing to have in the freezer or in the fridge all week long. I'll cut off a slab of this, put it in the enchilada. I mean, goodness gracious. Man, that's a piece of
awesome. Yep, I got one of mine. I got one in my fridge right now too. So it's absolutely fantastic, and I definitely excited you got that done. As for the humidity part of it and stuff, hopefully you were able to work around that. The running out of pellets, who knows, right? But the pellet smokers usually will cook pretty hard all the way through. They won't get as affected by the humidity, just because there's the fan and the fans blowing in there as well. It's the other ones that you have to worry about the damper being opened up, and if you got an offset smoker and stuff like that. So, and
on that, with his humidity, you can't get around it. Do you add a little more cook time? A little less? I mean, is there a little something to that? The math?
Yeah, there's math to it. I shouldn't say math because I ain't mathing anytime soon. But it's definitely let's leave ourselves a little bit more window for error, almost. Like, let's see where we're gonna end up on the cook here, because you never know.
The Traeger thing, which I love, you got the probes. You just put it in there, you know where this thing's at in the middle. Do you go by feel, literally touch? Do you thermometer your meat to know if it's at the right temp? How do you gauge it? You do it so much, I suppose you can look at it and know.
Right. Well, it depends on what we got. So, like the pork butts, briskets, I'm going by a temp gauge. Okay. Ribs and pork chops and steaks, that's all by feel. I mean, there's always a line where if you can, it's kind of like you kind of press down on the fat of your thumb there. If it feels like you're right where you need to be, if it feels just like that, that's exactly where you want to be when you're done. And so, with the steaks and smaller things, I don't. The pork butts, you want to get to around 205. Briskets, you want to get to about 205, 207. And then we're going to talk about beef ribs today, and that's I'm shooting for 207 there too most of the time. I want to get them nice and cooked all the way through, and all the fat starts to really melt down in there.
And before we get to the beef, because we are going to talk beef today, we promised that last time, is on the ribs. I tend to wait until I see them shrinking down the bone or coming off the bone. I see that release a little bit. Mm-hmm. That's where I go with it. Is that how you do? I mean,
is that where you're talking about for done or for like wrapping or
for done?
For pork rib, see that. You like to see that pullback. Absolutely. That, it just for one, it looks like a great rib. It just looks photogenic. It doesn't always happen, depending on how fatty the rib is and whatnot. But given it, for the most part, you when you start to see that, you start paying more attention. Give it a lift, and the bend that the rib will have is kind of where I always judge it at too. And you pull it off, let it rest, and then cut her up.
And for folks who don't know, like the pork roast, you put the fat side up, right, so it can continue to go down through that rib. So, what about ribs?
So for ribs, always bones down. No questions asked. I will if you wrap them. People sometimes wrap, sometimes you don't. I'm usually a wrapper, not all the time, and then I'll usually put them meat side down at that point, so it sits in the juice as it so it has that opportunity. Back to what you said though with the pork butt, I always put pork. It's kind of funny. I put the fat cap down on pork butts. I don't know.
No, we might be getting a surprise here by some folks because I'd always heard you had the fat side up, so whatever you got down, it moved through the meat down. And you're saying baloney with that, are you?
Well, that's just my method. Obviously, everybody's different. That's the best part about barbecue is I can tell you one thing today, and somebody else can be doing a completely different thing tomorrow. So I always do that down though, because I always feel like it sticks to the grate, and so when I pull it off, a lot of that fat comes off right away anyway. So it's just taken care of. It's gone.
Okay.
For brisket though, I always put fat cap up. Because brisket usually takes a lot longer, so I'm definitely the same thought process that's going to work its way through. And if there's a lot of fat cap, it's going to protect that top part of the meat as well.
All right, and you feel comfortable? You don't take any. I bet you don't take anything from the butcher as is. You trim. Oh, yeah. I'm okay. You're a trimmer. Yeah, that's what I want.
There's very, very, very rare do you see a chance where you don't have to trim. You can get away with it a little bit on pork butt just because you're going to end up shredding most of the time you shred pork butt. So you're going to see what you're going to want to keep and not. But for brisket, always trimming the brisket. There's a lot of fat on that thing to kind of pull off. And honestly, tying that right into beef ribs today, there's a lot of fat there too. You know, the beef ribs are so amazing. If you get the so-called quote unquote dino bones, they're massive and they are absolutely delicious, but be prepared that you're going to spend a lot of money and you're end up throwing about a quarter of it away, or maybe hopefully not a quarter, but that's what it feels like. Because there's a lot of actual fat that's inside that or on that bone as well.
And on that line, because again, now we're going to move on over to the beef. I love the dino ribs. Don't get me wrong, and you do. There's a lot to go away. Do you try to trim it before the cook? You cook it, trim it later? I mean, where does the trim come in? Or is it 50-50? Leave a little meat on
always beforehand. I love to do for the main reason being photogenic. You trim it up.
You take a lot of pictures of your food, do you?
Oh yeah. The phone has to eat first, right? So you take pictures of your food. Take pictures of food. So you get your ribs, or even again this goes for brisket too. But you got to trim it up. Get off any extra massive fat. I mean, you can always leave a little bit of it on there. They call it the silver skin. Pull that off if there's any of that. That will be on a brisket often. But pull that off there, and then you get all the seasoning on there. So you're creating a bark, especially with brisket and beef ribs. You're really excited about that bark and building that on there. And so that's why you don't want to trim afterwards, because you want that bark, that flavor on the outside to be there. And again, it looks really pretty too. But you get that all trimmed up and you start going that way. And beef ribs are such a awesome. Pork ribs are great, and this is kind of funny. It falls into the category of we're better. We're getting treated better than we deserve ourselves, because we have a friend whose daughter said, "Dad, you won't believe it. This girl in school, she's never had brisket before." And she was like, "How can this be?" And he's like, "Well, for the record, you get brisket more often than any other kid does, because we do this more often." Yeah. And the same thing goes with the pork ribs, I was going to say, because pork, we eat pork ribs like, oh, it's just a random Sunday. Let's just make pork, whatever. Beef ribs, along with briskets, are a little bit more expensive. So when you're doing it, they're bolder, they're bigger, there's more flavor. It is a special event, right? You're going to spend money on that. So that's where I guess I'm going with this. It's just when you make pork ribs, is not common for everybody, don't get me wrong, but it's common enough for us that when we go to the beef rib, it's a special occasion. And so it's really exciting. Completely agree, especially in pork country down here, southern Minnesota. They raise all kinds of pork. You can get your pork, and again, like you say, maybe it's not everybody, I know, but we eat a ton of pork ribs. I eat a ton of pork loin. I like doing a whole pork loin. I mean, whatever, 2.5 foot long, chopping it up for what I need it and having it in the fridge. I mean, pork is easy that way. I don't find it the same with beef, and I want to talk to Stunt Monkey about that right after this. It is what they call the barbecue show.
We'll be back after this and more. Jake, Stunt Monkey, the barbecue show. Although without Jake, it's just Stunt Monkey. More right after this.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc., Midwest Money Management, and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
Think about it. A famous politician once said, "You're entitled to your opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts." But in a world full of AI and fake news, where can Minnesotans find the facts? Center of the American Experiment is Minnesota's go-to source for fact-based analysis and common sense solutions for taxes, energy, public safety, and our kids' education. Visit AmericanExperiment.org for more information. Think About It is brought to you by Center of the American Experiment, Minnesota's think tank.
The Al Travis Show, the last place you can go and hear all sides. Respectful, thoughtful, and grateful.
Hear the music, know what it is. It's Stunt Monkey with the barbecue show, talking all things barbecue with, Jake and the Stunt. Stunt here with me. I see you lost your video. You good?
I'm still here. It says video cannot start. It's failed. So there you go.
These things happen. It's called an internet.
Yep.
You're just lucky you're not on a space shuttle somewhere and you start having problems like that, because then you're like, now what do I do? All right, we're talking beef, and here is the issue. And I'm pro beef, by the way. I'd rather have beef than pork if I had my druthers. The problem is now it's quite a bit more expensive, right? You get a pretty good thick cut pork chop.
Yep.
But you get a good sized steak or a nice steak, you can be looking at $15, $16 a pound, right? I don't want to screw it up. Do you have any of the fail-safe methods? Because I get to the point, everybody asks for a different, I like my medium, rare, I like whatever. You know what? You're getting to whatever comes off my grill because I don't think I'm that good. How do you keep track?
Yeah.
You got any secrets?
Secret for number one would be low and slow. Give it yourself
Okay.
some time. Give yourself the time to watch how it's going to react. Like you said, even if you got conditions and the weather change, you're not going to all of a sudden. Well, now it's cooking way too fast and it's whatever. So I'd say you fail safe number one is make sure you give yourself plenty of time. Take it low and slow, and then also you're going to want a good bark. So a lot of people sometimes want to spritz their beef.
Okay.
I'm not a beef spritzer. There's a recipe we talked about with a guy this weekend on the barbecue show who talked about how it had him dripping apple juice all over it the entire time. I think that's a bad idea. You want a good bark on your brisket, on your beef ribs. Bark is the key because the best part about ribs and beef is that deep flavor, but at the same time you get that tender meat combination on the inside. I think that flavor comes from a good bark on the outside. It really does. Usually, most of my beef is always peppery too, and I love it.
You talk about putting vinegar on there or whatever. How much is that? I have heard that before. I'm not even a fan of vinegar. You put anything. What does it do for it, and why would you put that added harshness to your meat?
So, like on pork butts, I will spritz in ribs as well. Apple cider vinegar on there. Keeping it moist is the main answer. Is at least the thought process behind it. You're keeping the meat moist, and I think some of that thought process, then the smoke can penetrate better longer.
Okay.
Also, especially when it comes to ribs, you're also cooling that meat off for a brief minute. Then it has to reheat on the outside because you're spraying usually something that's either cool or cold or room temperature.
Yeah.
Onto your meat, so it's changing that a little bit, right? It's changing the profile. So usually, like a lot of people also think the apple cider vinegar on your ribs will change the color a little bit too. So you're kind of spraying that to do that. Again, I don't do it on the brisket because I like that crisp flavor and that bark, if you will, on my brisket especially. So I keep it off there altogether. Flavor wise, a lot of times you don't usually taste the vinegar unless you're adding vinegar in afterwards. It's like when we put the binder on with mustard. You never taste the mustard at the end of the cook.
That's true.
You don't usually taste the apple cider vinegar. You'll taste maybe the apple cider a bit, but not the vinegar flavor. So it's not worrisome there.
And what are you on beef as far as, what I love about pork is I keep trying new flavors, right? New stuff to put on it, new rubs and that sort of thing. Do you experiment much with your beef? And what do you use? What's your go-to on a steak? Just salt and pepper?
On a steak, salt, pepper, garlic. That's my go-to. It's fun to experiment with pork because there's so many different ways you can go with it. Especially pork, you can go sweet, you can go heat, you can go with just savory. A lot of guys who barbecue all the time go savory on pork because especially when they do competition, you're always eating sweet pork then. For beef, like a steak, salt, pepper, garlic, every time, simple, easy. If you're inside the house on a cast iron pan, you're dousing it in butter as well. Yeah. But that's pretty much it. I don't get too carried away on my steaks. For briskets, I like to stay pretty true to what I've found works. And for me is 2-to-1 meat church, holy cow over holy gospel. And it's what? I don't give a lot of brand choice or brand shout out, but I love the combination. It's basically a Beat Church's Holy Cow is an SPG, salt, pepper, garlic, but just the combination of and it's big grains. It just tastes so great on that beef on pork butts or briskets and beef ribs. I just like the combination of those two together.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. And is there any real difference as far as the temp? Do you I know you like slow your roll. Do you do that for both pork and the beef? Is there even, you go slower with beef? Is there some, or, if you're I cook things at 300 guy, that'll work for both just as well. Is there anything with the actual texture of it that you got to heat up differently?
Well, you want to make sure, obviously, if you're doing 300, I got to believe it's all about each their own. If you find a method that works for you, I should maybe backtrack to that because the newest thing in competition barbecue is faster the better. They're doing brisket. When there's brisket on the menu, they're doing brisket flats, and they can cook that rather quick, almost like a tri-tip. I mean, you can cook that pretty hot. It's slimmer, so they can get it done quicker. If you're doing a full brisket, I feel at 300, you're going to burn the flat
outside
end, while the other, just even the flat's going to get burned. So it gets down to about an inch thick, but then the other end's like 3 to 4 inches thick, and you're not going to get the internal temp you want on that end done as quick when you're that high of a temperature, right? Yeah. So I'm always, between 225 and 250 for myself, and just plan for that 8 to 10 hours, even longer sometimes if need be, depending on the conditions.
And is that then the exact same for your beef?
Yeah, I guess that's what I was referring to. For the beef,
okay.
Yeah.
And what about on the pork side?
Yeah, pork, I'm going low and slow, but again, they're cooking those faster and faster. I mean, a lot of these cooks now are going over direct heat. It's kind of been the barrel cookers has been the hot thing. And so they're faster cookers, usually around 300. You're not wrong. But I'm concerned always about the outside being done really quick and the inside taking longer, which again, then it comes back to that spritzing with the apple cider vinegar or whatever you might be mixing on there. Keeping the outside moist throughout the cook is important.
Fair enough. Sir, we got to go. We're out of time. How would anybody listen to the barbecue show? Yeah, it's quick. You talk a lot. I like it.
That's just a quick show, and we're with you. It's so fun to just talk with you. The BBQ Show, Barbecue Show, the BBQ Show on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Be sure to find us and listen whenever you can on all your favorite podcast platforms as well.
All right. Appreciate you, my friend. We'll get you back here in a couple of weeks. It's this one, Stunt Monkey and Jake, the Barbecue Show on the Al Travis Show. Appreciate you being here, sir. More after this.